Okay, in my book, The Blossoming of Christianity, the main purpose for writing the book is to show that it's an ideal that constitutes the spirit of the Son of God. And that ideal must be established within the religious establishment of the world, the most advanced level of the religious establishment. That includes all religions: Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism, Islam, Christianity. Yeah. And in the book I explain how that is supposed to happen. You see, the Bible states that God in Revelation sent 7 spirits out into all the earth. It is contention of the writing in my book that those 7 spirits were involved in bringing about 3 levels of consciousness, and those 3 levels of consciousness were designed to give rise to the kingdom of heaven, a planetary body, which is to house the Son of God. And that Son of God, I explained it in my book, is an idea. You see, to show that the Son of idea has the qualification to serve as the Son of God, all you got to do is look at things. First of all, the caliber of intelligence today let us know that there's no way a physical body has the power to eradicate sin. And that's one of the things that the Son of God is supposed to do, eradicate sin. You see, and no physical body has the power to serve as the cornerstone or the foundation for establishment of a kingdom of heaven. See, the kingdom of heaven is a social order, albeit it's a social order that the Bible said will extend for eternity. Nevertheless, it's still a social order. And we know today, the caliber of intelligence let us know today that a social order is composed of rules and regulations. Just like in America, we have the Constitution of the United States, upon which our social order is based. So we know that a social order is based on rules and regulations. So that idea, all things are made by God, which Jesus carried in his conscious mind, is the actual Son of God that was sent down from heaven to serve as the cornerstone for the establishment of that kingdom of heaven. It's a rule, it's a regulation, it's a law, stating that all things were made by God. See, a whole way of living can be centered around that idea. The book explains it all. But I just want to touch on here how those 3 levels of consciousness manifest into the planetary body, and how that ideal is supposed to be the head of that planetary body. You see, those 7 spirits that God sent out into all the world, it said in Revelation, those 7 spirits were sent out for a purpose. And the purpose was to bring about 3 levels of consciousness. If you look at in the first level of consciousness has to do with the consciousness of human beings. You see, and if you look from a scientific perspective, you'll see that there are 7 fundamental functions that give rise to the existence of a person. The atoms serve as the first units, that make up in the manifestation of the physical body of a person. Atom. You see, and then the only thing atoms can do is form bonds between one another, and when they form bonds between one another, they create the molecule. So the molecule is the second function, the second level. The reason we know that the molecule is the second level is because there's no other level that can be found to exist between the atom and the molecule. So that says that the molecule is the second level. The third level is the compound. See, after you have the molecule, then the next level is the compound. A compound can be formed in 2 ways. You can have atoms that are chemically bonded together, you know, to form a compound, and then you have a molecule and atoms. You can have atoms existing as individuals and arranged in a particular pattern, and that way you can form a compound. So there are two ways you can form a compound: by atoms and molecules being chemically bonded together. They can form a compound that way. And you have a compound being formed by atoms being arranged in a certain pattern, individual atoms, like in a crystal, salt crystal. So that's the third level. The reason we know that that the compound is third level because there's no other level that can be found to exist between the compound and the molecule. There's no other level. Okay, the fourth level would be the protein. It's interesting. This is a very important point to look at right here, because once you move into the protein, then you see that you have genes, and genes are basically molecules, compound molecules, families of molecules, made up from families of molecules, and genes are responsible for producing protein. See, protein is the product. It's kind of like a currency, a building material, but it's manufactured by the gene. That's an important thing to remember as we go ahead. So the reason we know that the protein is the fourth level because there's no other level that can be found to exist between the compound and the protein in the manifestation of the physical body of a person. And the fifth level is the cell. See, the genes use the protein to construct all the things that are needed to bring about the cell. And there's no other level that can be found to exist between the cell and the protein. So we know that the cell is the fifth level. And then the sixth level is composed of your organs. Different cells of the same type come together to form tissues, and tissues of different types come together to form organs. Each organ that you have in your body is made up from different tissues, which we're saying they're made up from different cells. You see, there's no other level that can be found between the cell and organs. Therefore, we know that organs are the sixth level in the manifestation of the conscious mind of a person. And of course, the seventh level consists of the conscious mind, the psychic and conscious mind of a person. Out of one of those organs emerge the psychic and conscious mind, which is the brain. The brain is the organ, and the conscious mind and the psychic and conscious mind is manifest out of that organ. So those are the seven levels involved in the manifestation of a person. It is contention of the book that I have, the Baptism of Christianity. All this is explained in this book. That those seven levels, those seven functions that involve in the manifestation of a person consist of the seven spirits that God sent out into all the world to perform a service. And one of those services to bring about the manifestation of the body of a person, which he's using to give rise to a conscious mind. And then we should see that conscious mind is what's going to assist him in establishing his kingdom of heaven on earth. The book explains this all. And then, okay, now once you get to the conscious mind of a person, that's one level of consciousness. Then the conscious mind of individual or people serve as the first fundamental level in the manifestation of the conscious mind of a nation, of a typical nation. Scientific fact will verify that any nation, all nations, emerge out of the function of the conscious mind of the individuals. There's no other level that can be found between the conscious mind of individuals and the first step, the first level in the manifestation of the conscious mind of a nation. There's no other level. If you don't have the conscious mind of an individual, you're not going to have a nation. That's the first level. Well, see, as you looked at the atom being the first, used to form the first level in the manifestation of the conscious mind of a person, you see that the conscious mind of people are synonymous in function to the atom, because the only thing that people can do is make bonds between one another. That's the only thing the conscious mind of people can do, is make bonds between one another in the manifestation of a nation, a typical nation. There are no other level that can be found in the manifestation of a typical nation between the conscious mind of people as individual and bonds between people. So bonds between people serve as the second level, second spirit in the manifestation of the conscious mind of a typical nation. And the third level function consists of families of people. The family of people. The family of people is synonymous to the compound. And there are two ways, just as there's two ways the compound can be formed, there are two ways the family of people can be formed. A family of people can be formed by a man being, genetically bonded, together with his children and his wife. They are chemically bonded together through genetic. Or a family of people can be formed in a business arrangement where you have, people as individuals serving in a business arrangement. There are two ways the family of people can be formed. Those are the only two ways the family of people can be formed. There's that there are only two ways the compound can be formed. So you see, there are phenomena there. And this showing that these are the seven spirits. They're operating on different levels and bring about different levels of consciousness. But they're still phenomena. These are the seven spirits that God sent into all earth. And the fourth level involved in the manifestation of a typical nation would be schools of thoughts. See, schools of thought are just like protein. Family of people, which is like an institution, consists of family of people. They build schools of thoughts. Just like the genes in the manifestation of a physical body of a person build protein, institution within the manifestation of a typical nation builds schools of thoughts. And schools of thoughts are used to construct everything that's needed to give rise to a typical nation. There's no other level that can be found between family of people and schools of thought. That's why we know that family of schools of thought ought to serve as a unit that serves as a full function in the manifestation of a typical nation. And the fifth level is the province or city-state. You see, a province or city-state would be synonymous to a cell. And just as the gene build a protein, all the necessary protein for constructing everything that make up the cell, institution are responsible for building all the schools of thoughts that are needed to construct everything that is part of the manifestation of a province or a city-state. So there's no other level that can be found between schools of thought and the province or the city-state. So you know that the city-state or province serve as the fifth function in the manifestation of a typical nation. Then you have, I had to hurry along with this, then you have the sixth function would be national departments. Once you get to city-state, then you have your arms going out, your national department, like the Department of Defense, your Department of Agriculture, your Department of Medicine, These national departments are synonymous with organs, you see. And just as the organs grow out of the fifth function, which is the cell, your national departments grow out of your province. And national departments serve as the sixth function in the manifestation of a typical nation. Of course, one of the national departments would be your political head. The political head is the national department. And out of the political head, you get the conscious mind of a nation. Every nation is just like a person. It has a conscious mind. It can love, it can hate, it can make war, it can take care of itself. A nation can, just like a person. It has a conscious mind. But, okay, now we heard along. Okay, once the conscious mind of a nation is formed, you have two levels of consciousness. You have consciousness of a person, you have consciousness of a nation. Then the conscious mind of individual nation serve as the first fundamental level in the manifestation of the conscious mind of the planet. And just as it is with the atoms, and just as it is with individuals, the only thing that nations can do is make allowances between each other, one another. Just like the only thing that atoms can do is make bonds, molecules. The only thing that people can do is make bonds between one another. The only thing in the manifestation of the conscious mind of the planet that individual nation can do is form alliances between one another. That's the only thing. And so you see the other phenomena. These are the seven spirits, but they're different, operating on different levels, bringing about different levels of consciousness, going towards the kingdom of heaven on the planet, you see. Okay, and then the third level, there's no other level can be found between the conscious mind of nations and alliance between nations. The third level is the family of nations. Families of nations. Each nation, you know, that's what they do. Once they have alliance between one another, they get different families of nations come together. And there's two ways that family of nations can be formed. Just like there's two ways that compounds can be formed. Just as it is that there's two ways that families of people can be formed. There's two ways that family of nations can be formed. First way is by nation having the same constitutional and cultural background, which is like, you know, the gene having the same chemical, you know, makeup as the man and his wife, you know. And then the second way is by nations coming together around a certain resource, you know, coming together around a certain resource or coming together around a certain technology, you know, the business, you know. And you have families of nations that way. There's no level can be found between family of nation and alliance between nations. So we know that family of nations is the third level in the manifestation of the conscious mind of the planet. Then you have your fourth level consists of nations products of nation. Products of nation serve similar type function as protein in the manifestation of the conscious mind of a person, and as schools of thought in the manifestation of a typical nation, products of nation on the planetary level. It's kind of like a currency, and so there's no other level can be found between family of a nation and product of nation. So we know product of nation is the fourth function in the manifestation of the planet, and the fifth level is a planetary government. The United States is a planetary government because see, it can function as a cell. It's self-sufficient. And then you have Russia, that had other satellites, you know, nation under it. It could be classified as a planetary government, and so is China. You see, it can be classified as a planetary government, and their planetary governments are being formed in the Middle East now, you know, and that's why a lot of unrest, because it's not stable there yet. For your planetary government. A planetary government is a nation that is large enough to be self-sufficient, just like a cell is self-sufficient, and it has other satellite nations on its domain. There's no other level that can be found between products of nation and family of nation. And of course, you use your products of nation to construct everything about that is necessary for the manifestation of a planetary government, the product. Okay, the sixth function is planetary departments. This is your departments like NATO, you know, let me see, Doctors Without Borders, you know. These are your planetary departments, which are similar to organs. They're extending all over the planet, you see, as organs. You see. And you know, this is how the planet, the social order of the planet, is being sustained. Your planetary department makes sure that each individual that's serving on the planet, you know, can benefit from the planetary body as a whole. And then out of the planetary body, you have the UN is a planetary department, and then that's where you have United Nations. That's where you have your conscious mind for the planet. Well, see, now if you look at the religious organization, it is formed in a similar fashion, and the Son of God, once it be accepted, as we accept that idea, God is the maker of all things. See, you can't prove that God is not making all things. You can't prove that He is, but you can't prove that He's not. We've been functioning under the idea that that some things made are evil and are not made by God, because we picked that up from Adam and Eve when they ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. God said everything He made was good, but the Satan counseled Adam and Eve and said, well, you know, eat from the tree of good and evil. That means saying that if you're not saying that God is not the maker of all things, you're saying that something He made was evil, you know. And so now I'm just trying to tell people that they have a choice. You cannot prove either of those ideas to be the absolute truths. I just want people to know that they got a choice to accept the idea that God is making all things. And this bring about a whole new way of life, a whole new way of life. Then we know that we all need to benefit from the good products and services that have been manifested by the plan of social development, because God made all of us and he wants all of us to have equal chance to have, benefit. Under the idea that something made of evil and not made by God, we'll continue, have people, some people living in poverty, have suffering wars, And you can't prove either one of the ideas be true. So why should we go along with the idea God is not making all things when we can't prove that? Why can't we go along with the idea that he is making all things, We can't prove he is, but why can't we do that? I just want people to let people know that they have a choice. And that idea constitutes the Son of God. It has to be established within the UN, where you have your religious establishment at the highest level also. Because that idea of something made of evil or not made by God is being practiced by the religious organizations as well. And they can't prove that God is not making all things. I don't think they're aware that they have a choice. So, and this is Mount Zion. This is the Lamb. The idea all things are made by God and all things made are good. This is your Lamb. It is the Lamb that must find his place on Mount Zion. So I'm doing this tape to help bring awareness to the people that that idea is out here now. It's being resurrected by me. And it can be helped. You can help, by just having faith. Faith in the idea that God is making all things. Just like you're having faith in the idea that he's not making all things. There's not but two ideals that you can use and have the psychological clout to spearhead the social development by mankind. That's the idea of God is making all things and all things he made it good, or the idea that somehow some things are made of evil and are not made by God. Those are the only two ideas. You got to be serving one of those ideas. There's no way that you cannot function in the planetary social development without serving one of those ideas. You're serving one. I just want to let the people know that they can serve the idea all things are made by God, just as well as they can serve the idea that some things made of evil and are not made by God. And I want them to know that the idea all things are made by God is an innocent lamb that need to be established with this religious establishment at the highest level in the planetary government, in this body that's being formed. First, it got to be established in each one of our conscious mind. Then each nation conscious mind got to have it. Then it would manifest on the planet. Read my book. This is a good book. It'll tell all about this, So I just want to get that part in about the Lamb. This is why I'm making this appeal. Blossoming of Christianity. You can find it on Google. Go to Google search and look up the blossoming of Christianity. Thank you for your time.